Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And you know, I see people once again talking about the escrow. This comes from Cryptopia. The reason I see that Ripple hasn't burned the escrow is because it's already been allocated to various companies, institutions worldwide. Joe Katz recently stated that burning the escrow, like Stellar did with XLM, would leave Ripple with less resources going forward. By leaving Ripple with less resources, this won't actually impact the price in a positive way. If anything, only negatively. XRP can be utilized in full by institutions, companies, until some form of crypto regulations are put into place, giving them a green light. You know, I mentioned this multiple times in the past. Look what happened with Stellar XLM. It didn't impact the price of XLM at all. Really, it didn't. And it won't happen with XRP either. Little amounts of XRP are burned with every single transaction that's made on the XRP ledger. So as time passes, naturally, it'll become more scarce. Only 100 billion will ever exist, and on average, 5 to 10,000 XRP are burned per day based on current use of the XRP ledger. Not to mention, potential worldwide adoption of the XRP ledger would increase the amount of XRP burned per day, as transaction volume would also significantly increase. It would be a simple case of supply and demand that ultimately comes into effect over a long-term duration. But I think it's going to happen quicker than people think. Sure, XRP gets burned, but you would need a lot of transactions happening. Once XRP gets worldwide adoption, it's going to be locked away by the biggest financial institutions out there because they're going to use it for its actual use case and liquidity. That's where I see the real demand coming from. And that's why I always said, you could look at the price of XRP today, but if you look at the long-term price of XRP, it's going to hit some crazy numbers. And people always try to argue, well, if that was to happen, well, then they're not going to let all these XRP holders become millionaires. Listen, these people don't care if you become a millionaire or not. They care about the new financial system that's coming. You know, if a handful of people get wealthy off of XRP, it's not a big deal to the BIS and the IMF and the Fed. You know, and most people are not going to make it to the finish line anyway. They will sell way too soon. The 2023 BIS survey on CBDC and crypto shows that 2 out of 3 jurisdictions are or will soon be regulating stablecoins and other crypto assets, mainly to protect investors and consumers and to safeguard financial stability. You know, right now, inside the United States, they're not fast-tracking a crypto regulations bill. They are fast-tracking a stablecoin bill because a stablecoin paves the way for a CBDC as well. And I am not a fan of CBDCs. I know a lot of you keep saying that in the comment section. I am just being a realist. The rest of the world is pushing into the digital age. The US is going to also. So you see, the regulatory objectives, investor, consumer protection, protecting financial stability, counteracting illicit finance, fair, efficient, and transparent markets, innovation, and or competition, safely and soundness of regulated institutions and infrastructure. Once regulations come, they are going to make it safe for the big financial institutions to get involved with crypto. They're also going to make it safe for the normies to get invested in the crypto. If you got here before regulations, you are very lucky. Because with regulations, I think we're going to also see that flip of the switch moment. Ripple and the IMF. Look at what they say right here. Digital technology will spread, and efforts to ignore it or legislation against it will likely fail. Anyone that's trying to be anti-crypto will fail. Crypto is the future. We are in the digital age. Nothing is stopping what's going on, and they're accelerating things now. The BIS is trying to fast track everything. You know, they're even pissed off that Swift is trying to still stay in the dark ages. The time is now, is what they keep telling you. And that's why you see bank after bank getting involved with crypto. They want to get involved with crypto here in the US as well. But because crypto is still like, you know, a bad topic for this administration, no financial institution wants to touch it. Once that changes, every financial institution will be on board. This comes from Mr. Man. When we give you the message that every bank and financial institution has migrated to ISO, just know there is a lag period, a transition stability period. So be patient. Take a listen to this.
Migrating, the process doesn't end at migration, or the journey doesn't end at migration. The journey starts at migration. And so from that point, we now need to expect a period of transition, call it, as we move from migration programs and into BAU. But that doesn't happen overnight. So you don't, I don't think the industry will get to a point where we're all migrated and then just like that, we're into BAU. There has to be this period of transition as we, as the standard evolves, as we fix errors, as we all start using it, we start to realize some of the ways that we've erred. And so for Australia, that might be that we've realized the importance of interoperability and harmonization. So we're going to move back. And for HTTPS Plus, to be really honest, like that's one of our biggest work items at the moment, is making sure that we are fully synthesized with CDPR Plus, and where possible that those the template and the implementation are currently interoperable. Because if our MIs, or if any other MI that wants to use HTTPS Plus is implementing HTTPS Plus, we want that to be seamless, and we want them to be able to implement HTTPS Plus.
They want to make sure that it works and that it works properly. So what we're going to see with ISO, as banks start to utilize it more and more, all of a sudden it's going to drive up the prices of these cryptocurrencies that are ISO compliant, that are allowing for real-time payments. And, you know, people still doubt that value is going to come from ISO. But if you're not in, by the time ISO goes live and starts being utilized all around the world, you will be too late. You want to get in before it all happens. Chinese yuan becomes the most traded foreign currency on Russia's Moscow Stock Exchange after halting all US dollar and euro transactions. And people keep arguing about BRICS as well. They're never going to utilize a U.S. company. Well, Chad Steingraber says there are currently 77 countries plugged into Tranglo, with the majority of banks of each country involved. It is capable of real time and is fastest, but in some cases is prolonged to T+1 due to each country's bank local last leg capabilities. And you see, China banks 37 to 125. Tranglo, and XRP. Do you think China isn't connected? Tranglo service specs for China real-time with Union Pay settlement, RTGS system. BRICS Plus, XRP. Bank list is in the comments. And we knew that Ripple had the rails put in place inside of China as well. Ripple has rails inside of Russia as well. All these countries that are part of BRICS have Ripple rails inside. And once they go live with this, I think we are going to see the price of XRP change very fast. And it doesn't have to be through Ripple directly. It's partners of Ripple still building out and growing along the way. This comes from Echo X. Every time I use the XRP ledger to transfer money between wallets, I am reminded of how incredibly fast and cheap it is. Just recently, I sent $5,000 worth of XRP from one wallet to another, and it arrived almost instantly, costing only 0.00001 XRP. You can't convince me that this isn't going to be the money of the future. Know what you hold. And you see the sending institution, cash, and then you see XRP. You see the receiving institution. And you know, this is the future. And inside, right here, could be a massive liquidity pool, just waiting for money to be transferred from one country to another. That will drive demand for XRP. And you know, XLM is just as quick as XRP as well. The number of co-sponsors for the bill to end the Federal Reserve in 10 years has gone up 10x, which is remarkable. Massey says that support for legislation to abolish the Fed has grown 10x. I think everybody realizes that the Fed sucks. The Fed put us in the predicament that we're in right now. And that's going to continue to happen if we allow the Fed to continue going forward. But you know what could end the Fed? Gold ends the Fed. And I think we're pushing towards a gold-backed system. I think that all the power is also shifting away from the Fed towards the Treasury as we speak. I even think the Treasury is going to be who announces a CBDC in the United States. New today, the G7 average debt to GDP is 129%. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink. Take a listen to this because he's telling them what's happening.
The IMF and the World Bank were created 80 years ago when banks, not markets, financed most things. Today, the financial world is flipped. The capital markets are the biggest source of private sector financing, and unlocking that money requires a different approach than the bank balance sheet model of yesterday. There's still a lot of work to be done, but reform over the past 8 months have resulted in billions of dollars of new dollars for the developing countries' infrastructure. That's what you saw last week with the announcement of the Investor Coalition. BlackRock, GIP, KKR, and other major firms will deploy $25 billion in Asia's emerging economies. In a way, it's an Indo-Pacific counterpoint to Italy's Mattei plan, which is helping African economies grow, and that's important. Every country in the world needs a growth strategy. But if I could convey one more important message today, it would be the countries that need growth most right now are not just emerging economies. Great economic powers, including the G7, are in fact on the list and need growth going forward.
And then he goes on to say, no matter how much we tax, how much we cut or reduce that debt, it will not be enough. This is why building new infrastructure is critical, especially through public-private partnerships. You know, when he talks about private partnerships, most likely Larry Fink also is talking about Ripple. You think he doesn't know what Ripple is capable of? And when he was speaking right there, he's talking about leveling the playing field. He's calling for a new financial system. He's telling them this system is broken and it's going to continue to collapse down. And as it does, a new system is going to need to be put in place. And we all know it's coming. Slavery wasn't really abolished. You know, everybody is a slave to the US dollar. Through income tax, sales tax, property tax, capital gains, and inheritance tax. Are you starting to realize you are merely a tax slave for the government? They control you through the US dollar, which is propped up by absolutely nothing. It continues to lose more and more value. Honestly, I'm anticipating a new currency. I'm thinking that new treasury dollar is the path forward for the United States. A lot of people are saying it's going to be gold backed. A lot of people are also saying we need to have a digital dollar, a gold backed digital dollar. But a lot of people are not in favor of a CBDC. Think about the administration we have right now. They would definitely use it to shut off your money if they don't like things you're saying or buying. And you know, we need to stop with all the taxes as well. People go to work and they're taxed to death. You know, most people can't make ends meet simply because they have to pay taxes. And that system needs to come to an end as well. I think we need to also abolish the IRS. Come up with a new plan going forward. You know, what's the sense of us paying taxes when they could just print all the money that they need? It doesn't make sense to me. But you know, we are fighting inflation, and the best way to do it is not to keep your money in the bank, but to store it in crypto. Crypto is going to make a lot of people rich in the coming months, and people are going to cash out. They're going to end up cashing out into US dollars, and at the same time, I think we're going to still see the US dollar crash down as well. It's not going to have the value it even has today. And eventually a new system will be put in place. But anybody that has a ton of fiat and they're not invested in gold, silver, or crypto, they're going to be wiped out when the current system crashes down. And I stress that because I do work for a lot of people that are very wealthy. And a lot of them always say, I have large amounts of cash. Well, what are you going to do when all of a sudden that cash has to be converted to digital money? And then they always go on to brag about how they're getting one over on the US government as well. I think the digital system will put an end to people hiding money. I think that is the main reason that they are all in favor of a CBDC. I would rather watch XRP fix the current system than go into a CBDC system. But I always tell you, I'm a realist as well. When I look around the world and everybody's pushing towards a CBDC, the US has no choice but to go in that direction, or the US is going to get left behind. The digital age is here, and if you stay invested in XRP and these other utility-driven cryptocurrencies, you can get very wealthy from this. You can break away from the CBDC system if you get wealthy first. And that's why I'm always trying to convince you to keep holding on so we could cross that finish line together. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.